Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Cho. I'm your host, Jonathan Goudeau, aka JG Smooth, joined by former UCO All-MIAA H-back Daunte McGee. Daunte, as you know, you were there for the majority of the game Saturday. It didn't go the way we had wanted it to go, and I feel like it was our fault why that was the case. What kind of are your thoughts on Saturday's game?
To be honest with you, it was very deflating, and I think it's more so from the fact of that we started to play better in certain areas, but then at the same time, we kind of had opportunities in the midst of us, not executing to the best that we could have. But to still be that close and then you come away with the loss, it's basically just kind of self-inflicted wounds. Just need to execute better. And I mean, we're probably looking at a 2 or 3 score game with us winning, but just not really, seizing the opportunities that we created for ourselves, the ones that were given to us from Central Missouri, and then just not making the most of those opportunities. So it was a little deflating. Like I said, there were some improvements in some areas of the game, but yeah, that's just a tough loss to have.
And as a player, because obviously as tough as that loss is, you've got a game to prepare for next week. How do you as a player kind of put that behind you and get mentally prepared to go out there and try to win a football game?
You just got to have short term memory, and you got to go into the new week as if it's a new week, and that what happened in the past, it's in the past and doesn't have any effect on what the now is. And you just got to go back and look at film and be very critical of yourself, and look at obviously the plays that you did good in, but sincerely look at the plays that didn't go so well. But then also just look at your position and how other people performed in it as well too, because you can learn a lot from other people's teach tape as well. But just gotta understand that it's a new week, put it behind you as best you can. And I mean, start on Sunday and get into Monday with recovery and just get into film. And you just gotta look at the new week as a new opportunity, in which it is.
And you mentioned improvements. I felt like this was by far the best game offensively that we've seen. I mean, we've not been able to run the ball all season, but this was the best the past games looked. Obviously, having Jet back has definitely helped. I mean, it's no knock on Clayton, but Jet is an All American. I think that we saw that, and I think we also saw the best we've seen out of the receiving unit as a whole. I feel like it's been a lot of Ashton Schumann and nobody else. And while Schumann did have almost 200 yards, there were other guys, Christian Valeriano, Javon Thomas, right? There were other guys that stepped up in that receiving room. Do you feel like this is an aberration? Like, okay, Central Missouri, we know historically, or at least the past few years, hasn't had the best defense. So is it a symptom of that? Or is this, or we're turning the page in the past game and maybe we can get this consistently moving forward?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, you can't control who you play, and so the whole point of the game is to take advantage of and exploit their weaknesses. And I felt like you said, offensively, especially throwing the ball, this was the best game we had this year. And that just doesn't happen by chance. I mean, it comes to, schematics, coaching, and then scheming up people, getting open in the right play. Like, it's a whole lot that goes into it. And it's like success isn't by accident. Like, it is very intentional. So I feel like it's no secret as to why they did have success because of, all the things that I said. But as far as moving forward, it is still something that I think still needs to be, more established. I think that that is a very good game to definitely build off of as the receiving room and tight ends as well too. Because I mean, Dominic Dunn had 2 touchdowns that he caught, so I mean that was big time for him. But I think really just use that game as a springboard and to kind of like you said, turn the page as far as the offensive, and receiving dudes that haven't really been taken advantage of, and really just start moving forward with it. That hey, we can throw the ball to multiple different people. It's not just 1 or 2 people. It's like we can get into different types of formations and spread people out and do different types of things to them. And we seen the offense do that. And even in the midst of that, there was still some missed opportunities that, hey, if we hit those, we're looking at an offense that could put up maybe, I don't know, 400 yards throwing the ball like they did last year. But it just comes to, taking advantage of those opportunities and hitting those gimme plays.
Yeah, now you brought up with my next question, just because we know Dom Dunn had the best game of his career. Now we know you, former eights back there. You mentored the man. I know you were very happy for him that Saturday. I just want to give you the floor here to expound upon Dom's performance and how happy you are for the man, seeing how you kind of did assist the man there and getting him adjusted to college and whatnot. So I concede the floor here for you to you want to give Dom his praise, whatever it is. The floor is all yours.
Yes. So playing with Dom has been interesting because his first year was the year coming out of COVID, and he was redshirted, but he was still with us. Like, he traveled, so he also had a pretty good gig his freshman year because he wasn't down on scout team. But to have that as your introduction, and then immediately that spring you got a whole new coaching staff, new plays, everything, and so just seeing how he's grown from, that being his start to college football to now he's not only the leader of the group, but he's progressed so much more in his run blocking. I mean, that's the thing I'm critical on, because the tight ends, like, yeah, everyone's athletic, like, yeah, people can catch, but it's like doing the nitty gritty stuff, the thing that people don't really want to do. And so just seeing his growth in that, and just kind of seeing him take ownership of the tight end group, I couldn't have been prouder of him. I mean, it is a lot of work. He's battled injuries this year. I mean, he's the old guy now, so I mean, he has a lot of miles on the wheels, and so just to see even later in his career that he's still able to produce and have a big impact like how he has. I mean, I couldn't have been prouder of him, and I mean, it's just very big, and especially coming from tight ends, it's kind of a position that you either key emphasis for the passing game, or you're kind of just a decoy at times. And so to see that he's not just a decoy, to show that he's extremely dynamic, athletic, can get into space, has pretty good hands. So it's just a whole lot that goes into it. And like I said, I'm extremely happy for him.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, I thought coming into the season, given what we lost at that receiver position, we could maybe get Dom be more of a focal point in the offense than kind of how he has been. But I felt like between the lack of receivers doing anything, and some of the struggles on the offensive front, and then he has battled injuries, that it's been hindering. But I think we saw, when other receivers stepped up, I felt like Dom got favorable matchups. I felt like they kind of lost track of him at times. He found holes in the zone. On that touchdown, I think he did a nice move to cut inside there, get him so open. Do you think we can continue this trend to use Dom in this way, continue to get him involved in the pass game, or do you think this might have just been a product of the Missouri scheme and maybe just the looks that we got offensively?
I think it initially is the scheme at first, because obviously, like I said, the whole point is to exploit the weaknesses of the defense. I don't think it's going to be the same opportunities, just because you're playing a completely different team, and obviously they're watching film, so they're going to see the success that he had, and obviously not try to give that up as well too. So I think it's going to be definitely different. But you're asking me to basically advocate throwing to the tight end, so I'm definitely going to take the opportunity. Not just Dom specifically, but just tight ends as a whole. I think it's, a trend that happens with teams. It's like, if you have a tight end that is dynamic in the passing game, how much easier it helps your offense flow, because now that's one more person that people have to key in on. You don't really see people going across the middle as much anymore, but you still have a bigger body with catch radius that's larger than the receivers. So it's like you have that working against, but then also teams do want to go man. I think it's a favorable matchup regardless, and especially for someone like Dom, who is quick and who can get in and out of his cuts and can run routes and has good hands. You can either put a linebacker on them, and there's not too many that can just keep up and cover as well as the DBs can, or you put a safety on them, but then that's where you get into the size difference and the matchup that way. So I mean, I'm always going to advocate for throwing to the tight ends. I think that it helps open up other aspects in the game as well. If you're able to hit the kind of short to intermediate routes with the tight end, I think that can open up, your other receivers getting in and out, because then you can have your tight end clear out, and it opens up holes and spaces for that. It opens up the deep ball, because now if you have safeties, they can't just bail out, or because they're keen in on the tight end, they're kind of trying to, attach them before his momentum goes. So then that opens up the deep ball. It just opens up so much with the offense when you have a tight end that is able to do all the above. And that's honestly what UCO has typically recruited. They've gone past from the days of, just kind of recruiting heavier set run blockers that, can get into the pass game. Now they're recruiting true athletes that they're more need to work on the blocking aspect of things, but that's a lot easier to teach them versus trying to be athletic and agile and getting in and out of cuts and having good hands. It's you can teach and coach it to be better, but it is something that it's truly special and rare, and that type of combination of a body. So I'm always advocate throwing to the tight end.
We also you also mentioned the missed opportunities, and I ran down the whole gauntlet of it in this week's episode of the podcast. Just so many chances, and I know we were critical of the defense someday in the first half, but they only allowed one touchdown in the second half, and they pitched the third quarter shutout, and we did not score. And like I said, it wasn't like we weren't moving the ball. We were stopping ourselves. As good as Christian had of a game. I mean, you saw it. It would jet through the ball. It hit the man in his hands in stride. You turn that up the field. That should be a touchdown, right? There you go. We have an opportunity. Was it on fourth down or whatever it was? We didn't get it, right? And then we have the missed field goal. And I said, in this conference, how many times you're gonna get this many chances to win a football game? And I think that's what makes it more deflating to me, is like, normally you might get one or two chances in this conference. We got like 5 or 6, and we didn't get it. How, like, is it? I want to say, like, where do we go from here in terms of that? Because I said, to me, it's more of an execution thing. Like, Coach Curley can't go out there and catch the passes for you. Like, Coach Pearson can't go out there and manually move you to who you're supposed to cover. Like, at a certain point, it's got to fall on the player. Is that where we are in this, where it's more so a lack of execution maybe than it is a scheme or play calling thing?
I would have to agree. It definitely comes down more to execution, because there once was a time where whenever I was playing, we're just based off our alignment and our formation, teams were able to call out what we were doing, like play by play. It was the craziest thing. And it's not that, they were just watching that much film, but it was like when you did the breakdown of things, it's like we were pretty, like tied into what we were going to do. And so as an offense and trying to play in that, and like that being like what you haven't coached, that is probably far times worse than it being on the players and just being able to execute. The upside to that is that it's one easily identifiable, and it's something that I want to say is easily correctable, because we are midway through the season. We kind of have had these, same things popping up in the game. So I think it is, again, you would rather it be something that's on your players, because then it's something that can be corrected, whether it's technique, whether it's watching film, whether it's how you're coaching something. That could be a factor at times too. But then it just really comes down to, when you're in the game and a play needs to be made, make the play. Because, again, all the missed opportunities that were had, and you come out of the game losing by one, again, it's something, if you're close and it was just a really hard fought game, it was back and forth, and you just didn't edge it out. It's like, okay, that's one thing. But when it's something where you had opportunity after opportunity, that typically doesn't come from a team like that, or just period in this conference. So it just really goes to show that how close teams are in the conference, and how crucial like every play, the inches in the game, the hidden yards, like everything, it is so important, and you can't really take things off because you don't like. Who's to say if we had a drive continue and we got a field goal or a touchdown out of it? Who's to say the defense wouldn't have got another stop at any point in the game? You know, and I know that we did miss the last PAT when it comes down to things, and that is extremely, you know, a tough pill to swallow because I'm just gonna be honest, that is something that they warm up with every single day. And I'm not someone in the crowd of, you know, you're like all you do is kick, but at the same time, when it is your PAT, I would consider that practically a free throw in basketball, but maybe even easier because that is the basic like thing that you warm up to in practice. You go out before everyone else, so you have the whole field, so you can kick your PATs. When you get to being this point, it's like you know how to kick, and it's basically a gimme. I don't think it was a bad snap. I don't think it was a bad hold. So it really just comes down to, you know, just executing. And I think that one play is kind of a microcosm of the entire game, but then also the misfortune that has been had in the season is that the opportunities are there. We're right there. We're in the right position. It's in our hands, and we're not executing and we're not making the most of it. And it's the build up and then it's the letdown. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at is because we have shown in all three phases of the game that we can be the best in the conference from what we've played so far. But it's piecing it together. You said the defense, they pitched a shutout in the third quarter. So then it's like our defense is doing what we need to have happen. You see in the offense, that was the most productive, you know, it had been. But then it's like still trying to tie everything all in together. And I think that's kind of where we're at is being able to play a full, complete, complementary game of football.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the part because, like you said, it's. I said the silver lining is it's fixable. Problem is we're running out of time to fix that. I mean, we're sitting here halfway through the season. We're 2-3. I mean, historically we've gotten to bowls at 7-4, so that means we can only lose one more game. I mean that's a very tough ask in this conference. Now, you were a part of the team that did that in 2018. We went 6-1 down the stretch, made it to a bowl game, won the bowl game. So it's definitely possible, and I think we have the talent to do that. But like my question is, the when are we going to see that? Because we don't have much time, and my fear is it ends up like 2023 where we had the same problem, except for that year we played good football for one half and then not the other half, and we couldn't find a way to win football games against meaningful opponents. And we sit here, and it's like the Pitt State game almost appears to be a fluke. Like if you were just outside looking in, you're going to be saying, like, well, how did these guys beat Pitt? Did they just get them at the right time? And so, like, from a I don't know, from like a mental confidence standpoint, how do you remain in a positive headspace and kind of get over that hump of like we've got to execute better, we've got to put together four quarters because we're too good of a football team to be having a losing record midway through the.
I think to sum it all up, it's just the team has been inconsistent as a whole and again in all three phases. So you have to establish some consistency, and specifically on the offense, I think it comes down to getting back to your basics, getting back to what you guys have had success with, and trying to build off of it. Football is not one of those games where every play is going to be the home run play. You have to have the mental warfare, the chess match going on, and then hit your big plays. So I think it's really going to come to when they get into practice, how they practice doing their drives. And even though you're going against the defense, and yes, they do know your plays and you're able to key in on it, but that's what makes it even better is that if you're able to have success against your defense and the hard Tuesday practices, the Wednesday practices, on the drives where, hey, you're staying in until basically you get stopped, I think it's definitely going to come down to that specific drill as far as, because then you get in thinking about being tired, trying to get the defense to jump off sides, Now you're really trying to scheme up things and try and place plays together. And so it's really just having success, getting positive after positive after positive after positive. And when the negatives do happen, you're able to rely on your leaders and your playmakers to be able to right the track. And so you guys can get back to what you're doing and having more positive and positive and positive. It does need to be, oh, hey, we're going to drop these trick plays. And no, you need to get back to what you know you can do. Running the football, getting the offensive line behind them, you know that we have the backs to be able to do that. But then also looking at the passing game and being like, hey, we can't just throw fade balls on posts and have one hand catches the entire game. We're going to have to hit our hitches. We're going to have to hit our flat routes where, okay, you're getting knocked down for 3 yards. You're going to have to go across the middle and sit in the zone and being able to read your defense and your keys. And then when it just comes to you, look the ball all the way in is really just taking your eyes and just watching it come into your hands. Do not try to arm catch everything and let it get into your body. It needs to be strong hands out in front of you, grasping and gripping through the ball and being able to secure the catch. And then afterwards, ball security, because we've seen that happen where the transition of catching the ball to now becoming a runner. That it's happened to me. I've seen it happen to others where that's whenever fumbles happen because now you have possession of it, but you don't fully have it and tied to where you're not going to fumble it. So keying in on those things with the receivers and the tight ends as well too, but really just getting back to the basics and really trying to say this is what we're going to do. This is the type of offense that we are going to run because these are the type of players that we have and that they can execute what we're going to do. And either you're that player that can get it done or you're not, because like you said, we're halfway through the season. So it really needs to be the people that have earned and built the trust up, but then can also execute and isn't going to cost the team while in the game.
And I also feel like, because we were talking about this too defensively for us, like we regressed Saturday. I felt, and granted, you can say Missouri has a better offense than Northwest. I will concede that. But like I felt we tackled better against Northwest than we had probably all season. I thought we had better coverage against Northwest for the most part. But I felt like you have pointed out, we didn't really reroute anybody in coverage. We missed a lot. I mean, a lot of tackles. And we also, I felt like, didn't get a consistent pass rush. Um, what do you feel like needs to be done or can be done on that side of the ball for us to, play the way that we did in the second half for 4 quarters? Because I'm still looking at uh Permian Basin and Pitt, and I'm like, we know the defense can play extremely well for 4 quarters, but I feel like since that time, I mean, we really had, I guess you could say Washburn, but given the team Washburn is, I feel like we really haven't seen that. Um, we didn't see that last week for 4 quarters, at least in some aspects, and we didn't see it Saturday. What do you think kind of has to be done there in order to get back to that level of defense that we saw those first 2 weeks of the season?
So I think starting with the D line, it's really just understanding that it is a fist fight every single play, and you either win or lose, point blank, period. And I think that it goes hand in hand with coverage that we had is that if you're not able to generate a pass rush and a quarterback can sit back there and be comfortable, your entire defense is going to get dotted up. It doesn't matter how great of DBs you have, because if you give a quarterback time to just sit back there and survey the whole field, go through 1 through 4 of his keys, I mean, it's tough to defend against as a DB. So I think starting with the D line, we have got to get a pass rush. I don't know if it is something that move wise is getting predictable. I don't know if it is, just going against better offensive line competition, whatever it is. I'm not saying that the defense has to generate all these sacks and pressures, but we cannot have a quarterback that just sits comfortably back in the pocket. But then also that goes into the run game as well too. Is like we have linebackers that are athletic and fast and can close the gap and aren't afraid of contact. So when it comes to tackling the defense as a whole, It's really just not diving and actually putting your body on people. And that comes from having great technique and moving your feet and putting yourself in position to where you're not having to dive at ankles and you can put your chest and your face on someone. And that's what they've shown to do. It just didn't really happen there against Central Missouri. But then, like I was alluding to with the D line and then our coverage, yes, there was a few times where I don't know if this is how it was taught, but if you give a number two receiver 10 yards and they're not being touched, no one can cover against that because now they have the whole route tree. The timing with the quarterback, it's basically 7-on-7 on air. So it's like it opens up a whole lot. And so there were times where I felt like after you recognize and diagnose that it's a pass play, rerouting the receivers to where it's off their track, regardless if they are able to evade it or not, just getting their timing off and then making sure that they still have to get their depth and be open for the quarterback, that helps the DBs out a lot because now the timing is off. That gives DB extra time to maybe close in if they're coming off getting out their break slow. It gives them extra time as far as if you're sitting in a zone, reading the quarterback's eyes because now he knows who he's going to, but he has to hold that extra half second before he's ready to throw it. That is precious time for people to close in and either get their hands on balls, get picks, maybe come up with a PBU. I mean, it's endless. So like all three levels rely on each other, and I think that at times Central Missouri was able to exploit each level during the game. But like again, they have shown where they can be the best team or a best phase on the team. It's just Saturday just wasn't as good as what it has been in the past.
That's it, and we can't in MIAA. I mean, as you know, you can't really afford a off day. I mean, I think that's you literally have to bring your A game every day. So, yeah, putting a bow on Central Missouri. Now I know obviously Dom stuck out to you, but what were there any other players that stuck out to you during the course of that game?
I say Ashton Schumann. I think he is one. I mean, I think he had a terrific game, and like I've said in the past, I feel like he needs to be our number one target just from the body of work that he has put forth, but then also the type of receiver that he is. He has the ability to hit the fade deep ball. He has the ability to hit the intermediate. I feel like he's a very good route runner, and he has shown to have sure hands. So I think that's all the qualities of being a number one target, and I think that we're going to have to rely on him even more. I want to point out Clayton because I felt as though the games that he had to step in and play, I felt like were meaningful minutes, and it was meaningful experience for him. I do want to point out that I felt as though when he was the quarterback, the offense wasn't limited. They weren't handicapped as far as play calling at all. And so I think that goes to show the potential and the type of play that he is being thrown into that position and not only executing, but not letting the bottom fall off, because you can look all over across football where if your starting quarterback goes down, teams completely losing, like they don't know what they're going to do. But I feel like Creasy definitely earned his stripes in the time that he's played. And even though he didn't play, that was something that I was looking at. I'm like, okay, the offense is operating, and not saying that he did a bad job, but just being like, he realizing that he did a tremendous job while he was in the game. So that was someone that kind of stuck out to my mind, is just, giving him his props offensively. But defensively, I mean, it's Jack Puckett. That is where my eyes go to. Again, like I keep saying it, but he is what you want from a linebacker. How he fills the gaps. I mean, how he's able to evade the blockers and not take them full on. I mean, he's always someone I watch on defense, and just watching him play and just maneuver and just being the leader that he is. Like, he's always someone that sticks out to me.
Yeah, I mean, Clayton, and it's unfortunate because even the Northwest guys on commentary was like he's going to be a tough guy to deal with for the foreseeable future. And I felt like we did do a good job of helping the man. I mean, we didn't really block for him all that well against Northwest. We weren't separating for him all that well against Northwest. then when we did, like I said, there wasn't the time for him. But I really thought that he handled it well. I mean, he took a beating in those 2 games, and I felt like answered the bell time and time again. So yeah, to your point, I do want to give Clayton his credit. Now, obviously, we go to Fort Hays. You were a part of the last team that won up there in Hays, Kansas. You were treated to a fireworks show after that game. Now, I was not aware. I guess I had forgotten because it has been about 4 years ago. Now you scored a touchdown in that football game, and I was like, "Oh, he scored in the game." I don't recall. I remember Marquise getting the touchdown on that opening drive there that set the tone, and I was like, "Oh, this is very good." I don't know you now. It's knowing that you scored in that game, in that big win for us. What will it take to go up there to Hays, Kansas, a notorious tough place to play, and come away with a win Saturday night?
You just got to go in there fearless. And I mean, they are one of the better atmospheres to play in as far as the MIAA goes. And their fans definitely support their team and they back them regardless. There are typically going to be a very well coached team. So discipline is going to be there. But you just got to go in the mindset that it doesn't matter what they do. As long as we handle ourselves and handle business, we're going to come out of there with the win. Um, you can't worry and listen to the crowd because they actually said and did probably some of the craziest things I've heard some fans say. Um, yeah, it was a fun game, and they actually were throwing these little foam footballs at us on the field. So some of the best fans out there, but yeah, you just gotta seize the opportunity and just look at what's going on to like what a season defining moment that they have right here to go on the road. And if they can come out and win against a team like Fort Hays, it could be a pivot point in the season, right for these guys. But again, you just got to go in the mindset of just doing your job, no more, no less, and just having that attitude about yourself that you don't care what they got going on. It's man on man, one on one, and you got to come down and win your matchups and make the plays when they come your way.
Yeah, I mean, mention that because after Fort Hays, we get back-to-back home games again against Emporia and Northeastern State for homecoming, and I mean, I don't want to go into that Emporia game sitting at 2-4 because Emporia, good football team, they went down there to St. Joseph's, beat Missouri Western by 36, held them -6 rushing yards. I mean, that's a good football team, and then NSU, as we know, is also an improved football team. They only lost by 7 to undefeated West Florida there Saturday. So, I mean, I think we desperately need a win. I truly feel like if we want to try to salvage the season and get back to the postseason, I almost feel like this is a must-win game because we really don't have much margin for error. I mean, I feel like the last 2 games of the season, Missouri Southern and Missouri Western, where I think we're the better team there. But the 4 game stretch of Fort Hays, Emporia, NSU, and Kearney, it's not going to be easy. Knowing that, because you were in a similar boat in 2018, right? And then you all went 6-1 down the stretch. How were you all able to turn that around after the uneven start to that season, that similar to this season? What was the key for you all to go on that run, get back to a bowl, and then win that bowl game?
I think I think at that point it was as good of an offense that we had. I felt like our defense was even better, and so I think it really started with them just setting the tone. Whenever they came out, they were extremely physical and they were extremely smart guys as well too. So I think defensively, we knew that we had a good defense, and they were able to create points for themselves. They were able to, hold teams to very low averages for the year. So I think it's really started with our defense, but then offensively, at that point, we really started to click and find our identity. I think at that point we did start to see people step up and start making plays, especially from the receiver group, because at that point I think Elliott Curry was gone. So it's like at that point it was like Dustin Bass, um, Tyrone Howell, Mikhail Hall. That's been Johnny Buzzell. I mean, Ronnie, like all the receivers, like all five of them just stepped up, and I think Dustin Bass was the one that really like became our number one receiver. But offensively and passing the ball, I mean, it definitely opened things up. And then at that point, we still had Clay McKenzie in his last year, but the offensive line was extremely, they were extremely physical. They had experience, and it just made running the ball what we were able to do, getting into more so the power running and counters. That I think that was kind of the plays that we ran majority of that year, running the ball. But just being extremely physical at the point of attack and letting someone like Clay, who likes physicality and likes going downhill, able to just chew up yards that way. And then we were able to be dynamic in the pass game. So I think it's really just comes down to, like it's really now or never. The opportunity is here. Who can make a play? Who's going to make the play? Who's going to step up? Who are going to be the guys that, for this stretch that are going to need to be our guys? And it seems like this is the game that more than ever in the season, that this needs to be the game that guys step up and really separate themselves and let it be known that they're not just dudes on the team, that these are our guys.
Yeah, and I feel like, this team is similar to that. We got an experienced line. We've got a good receiving core. We've got 3 really good running backs, right? We have a salty defense. So, like, I don't see why we can't do that. And I said, like, all along, our trajectory has been similar to Central Missouri. And they did the same thing last year. I think they had an uneven start, and then they went – they won a bunch of games down the stretch, got themselves back to a bowl game, one day a bowl game. I don't think, why we couldn't do the same. Now, you were going down the list of receivers. You mentioned Ronald Turner Jr. You forgot Mr. Touchdown and Catch Ronald Monroe. Remember that man had like a touchdown every catch? I was like, bro, how is he doing this?
And it wasn't like he was a bad receiver, but it was just like the most random times. Here he is in the end zone catching something. It's like, dude, you haven't went across the middle. You haven't gotten smacked. Like, I was like, where the hitch is at? Like, it just wasn't there. But I mean, like, when a play needed to be made, he was there to make it. So I mean, I'll definitely take that. But yeah, he was a good player, and we didn't get to keep him for too long. But yeah, he was definitely a good one that we had.
It felt like every 2 catches for him was a touchdown. I was like, sheesh, I don't know what kind of luck this man's having here, but this is ridiculous. Like every time it's a touchdown. Like you said, I wasn't complaining, but just found it fun. It was so random too, because I'm like,
and he had a trick play too, because he was a former quarterback. I think he got recruited to go be a quarterback in college, so he had a trick play, and so I want to say he maybe had 2 or 3 touchdowns on the year throwing. But yeah, so I mean, just a dynamic guy.
Oh wait, now I'm genuinely curious. Now we need to go back to that 2018. I need to see his numbers now. I need to see his numbers because I forgot about the trick plays. I sure did.
Yeah.
Smooth forgot about the trick plays.
Yeah. Then it was Johnny Buzzell. That's whenever he got to throw some, and but it was X special. That's what it was. That was his play.
Yeah, I remember he had it against was it did he have the touchdown? Was it Central Missouri when he had that touchdown? I think it was. I want to say it was Central Missouri. Okay, let me see now. Ronald Monroe. Oh, okay. He had where we at here. He had where's the catches? He had 11 catches, 4 of them for touchdowns. So I mean, we're looking like that's almost what? Like, almost every 3 catches is a touchdown. What?
I mean, if you're bound 400, if you're bound 400, I mean, hey, you're an all-star. So
Like what? I mean, that is hilarious to me though. That literally was because Dustin let us. Oh, he was only 91 yards shy of 1,000. That's unfortunate. He had 7 touchdowns. Mikhail had 698 and 3. The Elliott 266 and 3. Tyrone 242 and 2. Clay 191 and 2. Ronald Monroe 185 and 4. Ronald Turner Jr. 162 and 1. And then you had a buck 08-1. Justin Curry had 57 and 1, and then Isaiah Jackson had 4 for 31 and 1.
Those were the days I was talking about where we were more blocking and decoys as tight ends. So give me a little bit of grace. That was my first year playing too. Like it wasn't that great of a year passing wise, but team success it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, because didn't you make all conference that year though?
Yes, honorable mention. Which when that happened, I didn't know I made it. I didn't even think I was going to get considered. Like no one really said anything to me, and people just started saying congratulations. I'm like, for what? And they're like, you made all conference. Like you honorable mention. I was like, for what? Like I truly felt like I didn't play that great to get considered. And so then when they said, I'm like, okay, like appreciate it, but all right, like it wasn't. I just truly didn't think I was going to be considered for it. So, but once that did happen, that was kind of like one of the realizations. Like, okay, like I can actually be a pretty good tight end in this conference.
My man said for what? That's hilarious. Now I'm looking at the passing though. The only non-quarterback that threw a pass that year though was JB. He was 1 of 1 for 58 yards.
Really?
Lee Elliott threw for 22, and then Clay was 0 of 1. Then the rest was Will, Chandler, and Keats, who were all quarterbacks. So
I guess our specials, they kept on getting hogged down because I could have sworn we had some pretty big gains off of specials. Actually, I had one, but I got tackled at like the 4. Now that I think about it, so maybe that's what it was.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because JB threw 1, and then Lee Elliott threw 1, and they both completed theirs. And then Clay threw 1, but his was incomplete. But yeah, okay.
Oh,
Well, I didn't know Cole led us with 4 interceptions that year. Oh wow, okay. Well,
yeah, I think
that was just.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you're not. No. You go ahead.
I was gonna say I think because DB was, I think it was yeah, I'm trying to think back a long time ago, but I think it was O'Shea probably led the DBs, but I think it was more so like we caused, I don't know, because now you say that I thought O'Shea had more than 4, but I don't know. I guess they just were able to spread the wealth.
Yeah, see, because O'Shea tied the DBs with Kobe Underwood, they each had 2. But I know O'Shea also had 74 tackles, was second on the team, and 2 fumble recoveries and forced fumbles. I know he was All-American that year. Was this the year that Jakari put that receiver in that neck brace? You remember that? I know we played UCM at home, and I put the man in the neck brace, bro.
Yes, because there's a few unfavorable positions that you want to end up in football, and that guy just so happened to be knocked out, but in one of those unfavorable positions. So that definitely stuck with me because it's like it's one thing to get hit hard, it's one thing to get hit hard and get knocked out, but then you land with your face in the turf, but you're just tooted in the air. So yeah, it's just one of those you just don't ever see it happen, but then when it does, it sticks with you.
Yeah, we got a preference for the newer fans. Jakari is basically Jakari hits as hard as David Williams. So it just that's for context. Oh, Jakari was so good. Um, yeah, but
He was very
these names though are just they coming.
he was a very underrated DB that we had. I don't know. I felt like at that point it was like
These names are.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was saying
Yeah.
that I just felt like, yeah, defense was just good as a whole.
There's so many names though. I mean, Colton O'Shea, Chris, Dylan, Malik, Justin Stewart, Alex,
Hey, Malik.
Eli, Langston Underwood, legend.
Malik was probably one of the best corners I've seen because his technique he had the best technique out of any corner I've seen. Like it was insane because he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't gonna jump the highest. Honestly, he probably did have some of the better hands. I will give him that, but I mean, his technique was the best.
He was so good. Yeah, he was so good. Well, there was Derek. Yeah, there's Derek. There's Dion, Daniel Ballman. What just Trey Wormington, Jordan Noel, Barry Higdon. Oh, even Sabor Daniels had a tackle. No, he had 2 tackles. No, I was a big Sabor Daniels guy.
Oh, Bobo, that's my guy. You don't understand because I was in the running back rooms with him, Sabor, Clay, Justin Curry. Like we were all in the same meeting room, and it was all time.
Sabor Daniels, that man, I think I can't remember if it was that year or 2019 when I was looking at the stats. Sabor threw a pass, caught a pass, ran the ball, made a tackle, and I think had a return. I was like, Sabor Daniels, jack of all trades here. Like we just threw him out. We just threw the man out there. It was like, all right, we need somebody to throw the ball. Sabor can do it because he was a quarterback at East Central. We need somebody to run the ball. Oh, Sabor can do it. We need somebody to catch. Sabor can do it. I was like, this man, that's like the Swiss Army knife right there.
But you need those guys that can kind of do it all.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, there's a reason why I hold JB in such high regard. Man was willing to do it all. Okay, well, yeah, that was a nice trip there down memory lane. But yeah, okay, so well, in closing here, I see you got your Packers hat on. I don't did they play yesterday? I did not follow any football.
No, they're on a bye, but like I'm always gonna support. It just felt like a good day to wear some green, so I threw it on.
Okay, fair enough. Well, like like Dante was saying, this is a key game for us. We gotta like it's just I feel like it's either now or never. It's time to step up and get the guys rise to the occasion. We execute. We take advantage of opportunities. I don't see why we can't beat Fort Hayes. Looking at them, they're not a overly impressive team. I mean, it's Fort Hayes, so they're never like not a good team. Like even in 2022 when they were severely injured, as you know, I mean they still gave a good fight. We felt like we were down in that football game and then we came back. So like I'm never gonna not count a Fort Hayes team, especially them playing at home, given the environment there. Now you were right because after that game in 21, they had a fireworks show, correct?
Yeah, they did.
How cool was that? Because now there you are, you won the game. It was a big road game. you scored in the game, and then you got a fireworks show. I felt like that's a best case scenario for you right there.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my better performances. Just more so from because I had a touchdown, I had a one-handed catch. My assignment on who I was blocking, it was. I mean, it was. I want to say it was easy, but I definitely won that matchup the entire game. So I mean, it was one of my better games. And then again, the types of fans that they had, they were already throwing stuff at us. They had, we'll say, paraphernalia attached to their hats that and saying the most outrageous things to us. So just to get a win environment like that and then enjoy a fireworks show that wasn't meant for you. Oh, I sat and basked in it. Like it was a great time, and then we went and turned up in the locker room. So it was that was definitely one of my most favorite games that I played in.
I forgot you had that one-handed catch too. Yeah, that was a very surprising game because I don't think anybody, given where we were at that time, I felt like people really didn't really give us a chance in that football game. But between your one-handed catch, I know I think Jace hurdled the guy, and then I know Marquise had that deep touchdown. I just remember after watching the broadcast, I think it was Josh Moore and JB were like hitting the gritty just like after the handshake line. I was like, oh, we are really feeling it right now.
Yeah, it was just at that point in the season. I mean, things weren't looking too good for us. But again, it's just football is so hard it's just so hard to be good at, and wins are hard to come by and to get. So, especially when you can go up and get one like that, it's like you have every right to celebrate and really be in the moment of a win after it was hard fought like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like we can do the same, and I don't see why there's any reason we can't go up there to Fort Hays and win and win the football game. And I think that would do wonders for us. I truly believe winning against Fort Hays, then coming back for two straight home games, I think really would set up nicely for us to make a run there. So we'll see. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff down there in Hays, Kansas. I'll be watching on the MIAA network. I'm sure Daunte will as well. And so we hope to see a better result than we have seen the past two Saturdays. Before we get out of here, Daunte, you have any final closing thoughts, final remarks, anything of that nature?
No, just always gonna support the boys, and like I said, if like what better opportunity do they have, and I have a good feeling that they're definitely gonna seize it here.
Cool. All right. Well, we plan to be back. Hopefully this time next week. We missed last week. There was scheduling conflicts, and then I had internet problems, so we weren't able to really do that. So that's why there was none last week. So we would hope to be back at this time again next week. And I don't know, maybe if we win, I don't know, maybe we consider streaming at that point. I feel like that'd be a massive win for us. I don't know the last. Well, yeah, I mean it's been 4 years since we went up there in Hays, Kansas. So I feel like that'd be a pretty big time win. I mean they're sitting at 4-1 on the season. So I don't know. We'll see. But until next time, I'm Jonathan Goudeau, aka JG Smooth. This is former UCO All-MIAA H-back Daunte McGee. We will talk to you all later.